kick off the show here.
We're agreeing.
Something cleaned up. All right, welcome to the Mafia Cast, everybody. Live on Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. Brought to you by Game On Video Games and Sports Memorabilia. With stores in Hamburg and Greece, they are your premier sports memorabilia store. Dive into a world full of treasures where video games, sports, and Hollywood collide. How do you like that?
Very nice.
Very nice. So, before we get into it, we'll get a quick word with our sponsor.
Hey, it's John from Game On Sports Memorabilia. Check out our huge selection of unopened wax boxes of Pokemon cards. You have to see our selection of over 2 million sports cards in stock, plus hard-to-find card supplies. And if you have anything to sell, bring it in. We can help you determine the true value before you sell it. We pay fair market value every day. It's Game On Sports Memorabilia, 2670 Dewey Avenue in Greece. Check out our podcast for news and information on the card and collectible universe. Also, check out our Facebook page.
For more, call 481-2153. That's 481-2153.
All right, that's John with Game On Sports, and right underneath us here is John with Game On Sports. John, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Thank you very much.
Good to see you this weekend. We stopped out to the Sports Expo. Cool stuff going on there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always a good time, always a good show, and they bring in a lot of good guests. So,
yeah. Rasul Douglas was there. LT was there. I mean, the list goes on. You can't name them all. There's like, I don't know how many guests they have on average. There's got to be at least 20.
Yeah,
more.
This one was actually a little bit smaller, but it was still a good crowd. BB McKellar were there.
Yeah.
So
very
Thurman
cool
Thomas.
Yep.
Yes. How could I leave him out?
And me. So.
And John. And John and I both got a great piece of memorabilia ourselves at the show, picking up a couple signed Andre Reed jerseys.
Yeah.
He tried to make me feel bad for it because it wasn't from him. But when he said he got some himself, it made me feel better.
Hey, you never know what you might find.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it was a cool weekend.
Very, very fun.
Busy, but always trying to do as much as we can. Stay involved with the community and see what anything Bills related going on. So, here we are again on a special Leap Day show. You won't get this opportunity again for 4 more years. So that's if it even, I don't know what day of the week we'll be on then. But
that's right. I didn't think about that. That does make this a little bit cooler that it is a leap year.
Yeah.
Like Mike said, another 4 years, we might be able to do it again. If we're still around, if John chooses to keep us around.
Yeah.
And if everybody keeps listening. That's the number one right there.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing to remember about today is that somebody's grandmother is turning 16.
Right.
Do you guys know anybody born on the 29th?
I don't.
There is not. I don't think I know anyone personally. Maybe friends of a friend, or I heard at work today. I overheard some other contractors talking that someone they know is turning however old today, but they're really 6 or 7 years old, or whatever. They've only celebrated or had that many birthdays, legitimately. So yeah, it's kind of funny. But
I went to school with a girl who was born on the 29th, and I remember when she turned 16, she was turning 4. And it was just the funniest thing when you were a junior in high school to make that joke all day. But now looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, we were pretty stupid.
I still find it funny.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
What do we got?
So I think it's about time that we reveal who's going to win, that we do the giveaway.
You want to get into it? Let's do it now. Let's do it now. We got quite a few watchers on. We got, several viewers. We got there's the card right there, the rookie card, Josh Allen rookie card, valued at $50, provided by Game On Sports. We ran a little giveaway. I don't know if everyone's seen. You should have been on the Facebook page and like both pages, comment, tag 3 buddies. You're in it to win it. So here we are. We got quite a few entries. Picked up on Instagram a whole lot. I got to throw that out there. We're on Instagram too. You can find Game On Hamburg on Instagram or the Mafia Cast. We're trying to get better, providing more content on Instagram for the people that prefer that over Facebook or whatever works for you. So, that being said, we have the little wheel here. Got all our names loaded up. Get the banner out of the way real quick. And let's give her a spin. Good luck, everyone. And this is it. I'm going to give her one spin.
Sarah, I hope you don't win.
I kind of hope she does, but I kind of hope she doesn't too, because then it doesn't seem fixed. I'm spinning a random wheel. So it doesn't get any better than that. Let's give her a whirl. One spin. Here it goes. Random. Good luck, everyone. All right. Came to a stop, and our winner is Coyote Cafe. Congratulations. You're the winner of your brand new, well, not brand new, new to you, Josh Allen rookie card. So I'm going to take a picture of this. I guess I could go back and watch later. I don't got to be bothered with that. Coyote Cafe wins the Josh Allen rookie card.
And I noticed that they participated on Instagram, so we'll be reaching out via DM on Instagram to get your information in order to get you that card.
Yep, we'll get her shipped right out. Awesome.
John, how's it feel to do your first giveaway with us? Thank you very much for supplying that card, by the way. That was very generous, and we're very glad that this was as successful as it was.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad I could help out, and I gained some new followers, and I know you guys did too. So, I think we'll be doing it again next month.
Sweet.
Awesome. Ooh, look at that. There's a little teaser for everybody. That's news to us too. So that's awesome. Be on the lookout for that.
Hey man, we owe it to all the viewers. We really appreciate all you guys, whether you're watching live, recorded on the podcast, or wherever. Just want to say we really appreciate you guys. It's what keeps us going here. So, and again, congratulations to the winner. So, we got an interesting show up tonight. We're gonna talk. Well, we did the giveaway. We're gonna talk a little bit about the new cap space, the new added cap space. We're gonna chat a little about maybe the safety position a little bit. We'll chat a little bit about the combine started today, going on right now still, and so go from there. Where do you want to go, guys? Where do you want to start with?
Let's dive into our money situation.
Yeah,
because that's
Casey
about
says we're
the
rich.
best. That's the best news that we've gotten in a little while, is the fact that the cap did jump as much as it did. Everybody was expecting it to be about, what was it, 8-9 million less than what it actually is now. So the Bills gained a little bit more wiggle room. Brandon Beane, I'm sure, slept a lot better the night that number came out, and he was like, "Oh my God," because basically that difference is signing 1 or 2 players. That like the difference in the 2 caps, the projected and actual. I mean, that $8 million, that might be exactly what we need to sign somebody like a Daquan Jones or an AJ Epinesa this year to jumpstart their contract.
True that. Yeah. So to put it in perspective a little bit, so the cap goes up every year, right? A little bit.
Correct. So it's all based on TV. It's the TV deals, those get bigger and bigger every single year, especially with Amazon buying in now.
Yeah.
And then, ticket sales, and it's basically all the money that's pulled from all the teams put together on top of all the TV money, like I said.
Yeah. So what would you say is like an average, mediocre bump that the cap gets each year compared to this year where we saw a little, significant amount more?
I want to say I should really look this up. For some reason, I want to say the cap last year was something like 228 million.
Okay.
So this year it was like 251 or 255.
I'm asking you because you know more about it than me.
I'm looking it up right now. Let's see what the cap limit. Yeah, last year was 224,800,000. This year it's in the low 250s. So
Right.
it jumped $25 million this year, and
Yeah.
that's a big jump. That's
Yeah.
more than average. Because the only time that the cap has ever dropped was COVID. Was the year after COVID. And we thought we were in a tight spot then, trying to re-sign Matt Milano. That he was our big free agent coming off the team that year. This year, I won't say that there's anybody, as big of a name that's coming off the team this year, but there's more people coming off the team, and you gotta wonder whether you'd rather have less but higher quality players, or if you'd rather have it more spread out towards the depth as it is this year. Like, what would you guys rather try to deal with? To sign more players and spread the money thinner, or try to figure out as much money as you can to sign, the top two free agents.
I think you gotta you look for one really talented player, maybe that you want to pay, that you want to add or keep, and then maybe get your eyes on a good rookie at another position, and then from there on down, I think you'd spread it out a little more and build up some depth. Now, what position is that? Time will only tell, but we kind of got a little bit of an idea. Clearly, the situation at a few positions where we were kind of stretched thin this year, and with contracts being up. So maybe some defensive line, maybe some defensive backfield, something like that.
John, what would you rather do?
I'd rather go, more players and do the low risk, high reward type thing. Because so many times, and we've seen it kind of with Von Miller. We went through and paid out the nose for him, and we got how many good games out of him?
Yeah, not enough.
10. Yeah, 10 in 2 years.
Yeah. So, hopefully he comes back, bigger and better next year. But, that's his payday, has hurt us this year. Not as bad because of the big bump in the cap, but, and it's going to hurt us, I think next year too, right? He's got one more year, or is that not?
It's an option. So the way his deal was set up was it was 6 years, $160 million, which, on paper, to the dead eye, that's extraordinary money. But it was really, if you look at the fine print, it was really a 3-year, $54 million deal. So after next year is when we can really save on the cap and basically cut him. The rest of the money is basically dead cap.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, it's Von Miller is really not going anywhere this year. Unless the team is somehow willing to eat that entire the contract and eat the dead money for us, which maybe if he got a little bit better production last year, if those 5 tackles he had in all those games combined were 5 sacks, maybe you can, ditch him for a 6th, 7th round pick, a day 3 pick, but we just don't really have an option this year. We have to keep him. He's just too expensive to move, way too expensive to just cut. You'd rather try to either, at least it's a body there for depth, and he's a game day inactive if he's still not playing well, or he does come back and he performs, maybe not to Von Miller, Super Bowl Von Miller, but a 7-8 sack guy. I think we would all be pleased with that. Our leading sack getter last year, it was Ed Oliver second. Leonard Floyd was first, but Leonard Floyd didn't have a sack until after, I think, something like week 14. So
Yeah.
we could use all the pass rush we can get right now. And if we're overpaying for him, you're overpaying for him. So be it. It's one of those things. You got to live and die by the sword.
Like you said, high risk, high risk move there, and we saw how it played out. Now, an interesting thing too about Von, if he does indeed bounce back this upcoming year, like we'd like to see. Now, I'm hearing that, if he has like a 10, 12 sack season, now he solidifies his name with some of the greatest to ever play the position. So it's a kind of back against the wall season. He's motivated. He wants to be, remembered as one of the greatest. So very interesting going into this year with Von, seeing what's going to happen with him.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really think that he's going to put up the same numbers next year as he did this year.
Right. He's got to have something more. Come on.
Yeah, he was coming off the injury. I understand, it was 8 games off the injury or 12 games off the injury. He's still older, like he's not a spring chicken anymore. He's going to take a little bit more time. And we also saw, Von Miller, when he was in Denver and in LA, he played 80% of the snaps. The most people play is under McDermott was 60%, and that was Von in his first year with the Bills. And that was only in 10 games. So it's one of those things to where maybe he just didn't have the reps. Maybe that's where McDermott's defensive line rotation did hurt him a little bit. And Von, and he couldn't get his feet wet. He just couldn't get in that rhythm that sometimes players need. So I think last year we saw like as pretty much as bad as it can be. That was, if he wasn't so expensive, any team would have cut him. Any team would have made him, healthy scratches. The way they were. So it's just one of those things. I think that he's going to play no matter what we saw last year. He will be better this year because there's basically no other way. Like there's no going down from there. 5 tackles in 12 games, unless he gets 0, and then they don't have a choice. They have to cut him. They have to trade him. Whatever.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation to say the least.
Right.
As it is with all the players, at this point in the season and seeing who's coming back. So one thing I want to point out or just kind of mention now that I got the combine on the TV and we're talking about the cap here, and we'll get in, more of the combine a little bit later, but does watching the combine or, doing mock drafts or anything like that, does that sway your opinions on maybe who we're going to keep, who we're going to cut, that sort of thing? Do you see like some potential in the rookies that, maybe there's enough depth. I want to say depth in the draft, talent in the draft where we can maybe replace some of them players that might be tough to pay with some upcoming talent.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. The biggest issue is that, you could have a great combine, and then once you get on the field, I don't want to say nothing, but you're not what you were projected to be.
Right.
So it's just, it's tough. You look at guys like, my boy Terrell. I don't know how well he fared in the combine or if he even was invited, but I look at him. He just blew up this year. Yeah. And so many guys that aren't at the combine will have fantastic years. So it counts for something, but you can't put all your eggs in that basket.
Yeah, I know it's kind of early, but it's all I got to base things on right now with the guys coming in, and that's true. Guys could have great combine, they could have terrible combine, and end up being great. Mm-hmm. You just never know, but it's cool to see some new talent running on the field though, and putting on a show for the scouts.
Yep.
So the underwear Olympics, they're good for the measurables, for what it is. It's okay. Mm-hmm. Just you're basically testing overall athleticism, mm-hmm. and then in reaction time, with the DBs and wide receivers running the routes, testing arm strength with the quarterbacks. You're looking at refined the refined schematics of the game that you can't see on tape. You have to be able to see it up close and in person. And this is just the only way for all the GMs to see, the top 100 players in the country do those things. But at the same time, in my opinion, football is a lot of eye test. I mean, for every Zach Wilson that blows it out of the water at the combine, there's a Zaire Franklin who wasn't even invited to the combine, but yet for the last 3 years has led the NFL in tackles. And he's not renowned as one of the best linebackers, but he's one of the best tacklers in football and one of the best run defenders at the linebacker position in football. So it's just one of those things. You can have the measurables, but it comes down to work ethic, how much time you're willing to put in at the facility, and how much you're willing to learn. You can't go in there being, oh, I know this, oh, I know that. It's like when anybody starts a new job, you have to learn you have to be willing to learn what they're trying to teach you. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful at anything in life. So it's one of those things like you can get the measurable, but that doesn't always translate to how you're going to play on the field.
True that. Yeah, and then you see players, their stock goes up. Some people's dives at the combine. Some players you might not have heard of, their stock is up now, and I don't know. It's so crazy trying to keep a level head and focus on what you actually need. I don't know how with the amount of players that come out that play college football. I don't know how you really, sink your teeth into it and dissect everything and, decide who is going to be the best fit for your team and are they going to be available, when you get to pick. It's really amazing the work these guys put in.
Right. The benefits of doing like a mock draft around this time of year for people like us, fans who are invested in the team, is you just get familiar. Okay, somebody who I thought was really good and I thought would be in the first round is I'm in my mock drafts, I'm getting a third, fourth, fifth round. Well, why is that? That's when you can go back and look. If you can go back and look at game tape, they're playing. You can find them anywhere. YouTube's your best friend, and you can go look at combine numbers. Okay, he looked fast. He was fast on the football field, but he's not fast running a straight 40. You look at people like Stephon Diggs. He's not known as to have game-breaking speed, but when he gets behind a corner, very rarely is he going to be caught. Somebody like Tariq Woolen. As long as he can run to the ball and not have to stop and come back to it. It's one of it's a totally different thing. And that's what I mean by the eye test. It's how do they play? How do they react when they're in certain situations in football?
Right. And ball's hanging out there and you're going for the win. You're trying a little harder.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody's going to have an extra gear. That's what really counts. As long as the receiver runs, basically 4 or 5 and under, they have NFL speed. Anything, under a 4.4, that's what's considered blazing in the NFL. And we see how many people are still able to do that. The guys like John Ross, NFL combine record 4.2840, just retired this year because he wasn't a very good wide receiver. He didn't have great route running. That combine basically is what got him drafted by the Bengals in the first round. Stephon Diggs had all the measurables that you could want at the combine, 5th round wide receiver, and top 3 wide receiver in football at this point in time in the NFL. It's everything is all give and take. I prefer just using everything and just mashing it all into one, just to figure out that's how I get my most accurate opinions and stuff. Is just getting all the information and then molding it and then just kind of finding a center point to everybody and everything.
So Roy brings up the comment here about the cap. The cap being higher than expected could mean Bean has to do 1 or 2 less restructures. It's certainly helpful. Less restructuring. You don't want to upset or cut people's pay or anything like that if you don't have to. Nobody really likes that, I don't think. But I mean, if you're in the NFL and you're trying for a Super Bowl and you're, taking one for the team, I guess it's worth it, and it's not so bad. But I mean, does that just mean one or two less restructures, or maybe you still follow through with them restructures, and you just this could be the year to really stack it up and do all you can with it. And I think, I mean, they do it every year, and well, we'll do mock drafts, and maybe we might hit on one or two players out of the I don't know how many mock drafts we do, but you really never know. Some of the moves they do are really unexpected. So we just do our best to keep up. But yeah, it's an interesting point Roy brings up. Less restructuring, or like I said, it could be even, keep the same restructures and just stack the money as much as you can.
Yeah.
Well, what I take away from that statement is it means he is obviously going to be doing restructures. It's something he has to do this year. The first couple of years Bean was here, he did it in order to just gain more cap space. He didn't do it in order to be cap compliant. So now the question is, who does he restructure? He can restructure Deion Dawkins. That'll be a good one. That'll put that. He's still young enough. We can kick that money down the road and it not hurt us unless, he falls off a cliff. Josh Allen, that's an easy restructure. We can clear mucho cap space by restructuring him. Tre'Davious White, we can restructure or cut him. Cutting him hurts this year, but it doesn't hurt that much next year. It's the dead cap's 10. We saved 6, so there's a $4 million gap there, which is the team willing to eat that? I mean, if a team comes waving a 4th round pick, 3rd round pick for Tre'Davious White, then I think he would do it, because that kind of clears up our cornerback room is very gummed up right now, and we have potentially Dane Jackson back, but we're going to have Kyrie Elam, Christian Benford, Tre'Davious White, and Rasul Douglas. All 4 of those guys have started for us, in the past 2 years, and everybody has played well when they've gotten the chance. We all know Elam struggled early in the year, but he was clearly dealing with something. I know he was put on IR with his foot injury, but when he came back, he made some plays. He made an interception. He got burned, and then the next play after he got burned, he made that amazing pick in the end zone. So it's one, everybody is startable in the Bills cornerback room, which is a great issue to have. But that also makes, one person, that might make one person expendable. And Tre'Davious White coming off an ACL and an Achilles, getting a little bit, and back end of his 20s, his deal's starting to come to an end. Maybe a team does take a flyer on him if they really need the corner help. And I could see that. I could genuinely see that. And it kills me because he was the first draft pick of this Bills team that we see today. I mean, he was the first draft pick in the McBean era. And it kills me. I love Davis. I have his jersey. I think he would be the one that's expendable. I don't ever see them getting rid of Benford. I think they're going to end up extending Rasul Douglas, which is going to free up a little bit more cap space. I know we can save $9 million if we cut him, but he had 5 interceptions for us last year in half the season. That's unheard of. He was 4th in the league in interceptions, behind record-setting Deron Bland and a couple other guys. So I think next year we're going to see – I think my prediction would be we're going to see Benford and Douglas starting on the outside, and Elam, and probably Dane Jackson as 3 and 4, and Tre'Davious White might not be here.
Wow. Yeah. I know it's tough to think about that. And while we're talking about restructuring, I'm sure most people saw the news that restructured Connor McGovern's contract. We gained a few million there, so it helps.
3.7.
Yeah, 3 here, 3 there. It adds up. You get a couple of those, and then you're looking decent. If you need a couple bucks, so got to throw that out there. You're talking about Douglas and Douglas and Benford, and I see another banner up here, and we're worried about a hole at safety, so to speak. So if you guys have any ideas, maybe we'll get into this right now. What do you think about the safety position? Is there anyone on this team right now that could fill maybe the position of Hyde and or Poyer if one or both of them are gone? Or, what do we got there? What do we have if we can't find something in the draft or free agency to work with?
Go ahead, John.
Oh, gee, thanks. I don't know. I mean, we're deep, in the secondary right now. Moving. I mean, maybe Douglas. Maybe moving him to safety. It's not really gonna hurt us that bad, and I actually think it might help us a little bit more, especially if Elam can continue to progress the way that he did this year. I think giving Dane one more year of experience is going to be, pretty solid for him too. Either way, I think you got to put at least one vet back there, and then, maybe draft a guy and hope that, he pans out. But it's going to have to be, second round, third round, max.
So yeah. So if Douglas came back, and also Tre'Davious White, well, you think it would be important, right, to keep Trey White if that would have to be a key factor. Trey White staying on the team to have Rasul move to that position, and vice versa. Do you think there's probably what do you think the probability is that Trey could compete for that spot with Rasul?
He can definitely compete with him.
Yeah.
I think the bigger question is, can he stay healthy for a full season?
Yeah, right.
And then it's going to be kind of a flip flop of guys mid-season if somebody goes down.
Yeah.
I mean, if you put Douglas to safety and somebody goes down, then do you move them back and take your rookie and put him in, assuming they draft one. I just think you need somebody back there. I don't think you can afford to throw a rookie back there and hope that he's going to be
put it all on him.
Yeah. I mean, if we were in a different position offensively where we didn't need to draft a receiver in the first round, I mean, that's my opinion. Then we could go through and get another defensive player, in the first round. But I think there's a lot of us that are kind of tired of that, and we need some more offensive weapons. So now you're banking on, some of these guys to fall to the second, third, fourth round, maybe.
Yeah. So I guess I could have better worded the question too. Not as much who can compete better for the position, but who do you think, their physical build or their style of play would be the better fit there, I guess. I just feel like Trey might be better in coverage, and I just like the thought of Rasul at safety because of his, he's a little bit bigger. I feel like maybe he might hit a little harder. I don't know. I feel like he might even fill it a little better.
He's definitely a better tackler.
Yeah.
Than Tre'Davious is. I mean, thinking back, when we had at one point in football, we had the best secondary in football, and we had All-Pro Poe, second team All-Pro Micah Hyde, Tre'Davious White, and our corner that year was Levi Wallace. Somebody who wasn't stellar, but was like just good enough. He was like Jane Jackson, like just good enough. He did just enough of the job where he didn't lose it for us, but he wasn't win us a game. So for me, it's about continuity. Those four had played together. They could talk without talking to each other. Yep. I mean, they just they they have a head nod. You know, they just look at each other a certain way. Okay, instead of me going high, you going low, we're going to flip that just off script and, you know, really mess with the quarterback this time. Mm-hmm. We've been dealing with a lot of injuries, you know, and a lot of rotations and buoying back and forth at corner in the last couple of years. And we've seen the decline. You know, we saw last year when Douglas came in and we settled on Benford at corner, the cornerback play came up. You know, it was better than what it was before, even with Tre'Davious, because he was still trying to get his feet wet. So I'm with team draft a safety like Roy or sign Darnell Savage in free agency. I would rather not move anybody. And we saw how well Douglas played last year. We saw how well Benford played last year and is continuing to grow in the NFL as a corner. I just don't see Tre'Davious White. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. You know, I hope that he's able to transition seamlessly like Micah Hyde was able to from corner to safety. But my issue is, like John mentioned earlier, I don't know if his body can hold up trying to play that physical of a position, because, you know, McDermott's not going to Tre'Davious just go sit in center field, go pick everything off. He likes to disguise coverage. One guy starts low in the box, drops back up, and the guy up drops down into the box when the ball is snapped. And Tre'Davious White just isn't built to play in the box. So I would rather not move anybody and just keep it as is. Let the best two corners. I say two because I mean Teron Johnson. Nobody's taking his position as slot corner. So that's not even up for debate. So on the outside, I think you let those four guys battle it out, and whoever wins that battle, you know, just let it go. And don't make a change until someone gets hurt. And I understand what you guys are saying about a rookie, you know, not wanting to start a rookie safety. But at the same time, I mean, look at what Kyle Hamilton has done for the Ravens. You know, they drafted him late in the first round 2 years ago, and he's now like in the all-pro consideration. He is phenomenal. Big 6'4", 225 safety. I mean, he can play down the box. He's great in pass coverage. So, I mean, if somebody is there and he's the top on the board, I'm fine with taking him. You know, sometimes you just got to let these guys make a rookie mistake early on and hope expect them, hope them, teach them to learn from it and grow by the end of the year. They're not a rookie anymore. They're a vet, you know, after week 12. You know, that there's only so much that you haven't seen coming into the NFL. You know, like there's so many different offenses, but the NFL, it's West Coast, it's, you know, it's this, it's that, it's run and gun, it's pistol. And he also has all those veterans around him to rely on him to help him and guide him and teach him. And again, we had the perfect, you know, examples in Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, two guys that the NFL had given up on, and our coaching staff built them right back up. So I'm not afraid to take somebody who's already dedicated their life to that position and have McDermott mold them into a better safety than what they think they can even be.
Yeah. I know you talk about guys making mistakes, and you brought up Kyrie Elam earlier, and I know not everyone's his biggest fan. I mean, he had a rough rookie season, so to speak, but man, I love seeing that bounce back from him, make a mistake and come right back and then make a game-changing play, like totally negate it. So I'm all on board with the Kyrie Elam. I'm a fan, so hell yeah, looking forward to that this year.
As long as McDermott doesn't go through and do his typical thing of you make a mistake and you're sitting out now.
Right.
You know,
right.
Let him stay in there, let him go through and, you know, get through it and work through it on his own and make the play.
Yeah.
Exactly. How many of us actually, you know, when we're reprimanded, you know, someone wags a finger at you when you do something wrong, you're like, I understand I messed up. I know, I can understand what's going on. I now know what I did. I know what I did wrong. I know what I can do to fix it. You just got to let me fix it. I just need you to give me
I'm
space.
being punished, but
Yeah.
I'm beating myself up as well over it.
Nobody's going to be harder on them than themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's one of those things, you just, like John said, let them play, let them grow, let them get through it. There's growing pains with between whether it's a rookie who sat out their rookie year and is now just starting in their sophomore year in the NFL, or it's a legitimate rookie. They're gonna make mistakes, but you gotta let it happen. That's how they learn. Going back to the James Cook fumble.
Yep.
I mean,
Exactly.
he fumbled on his first NFL carry, and Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, his brother Dalvin Cook. Just off the top of my head, those three guys all also fumbled on their first NFL carry. And then after Cook fumbled his first carry, he literally didn't fumble until this year. And then he did it twice in one game. McDermott pulled him, which, twice in one game, everybody has a bad game.
Yeah.
Josh have a bad game. The whole defense have a bad game. Diggs have a bad game in the playoffs. He put him in the doghouse, yes. And did we all think it was a little too far? Yes. But, we're not on the sideline. We don't know what what the psyche of James Cook was. Maybe he was like, I just kind of need a break for a minute. Let me regroup. Let me get my head together. All right, let's go. Let me get back out
Take
there.
a deep
I'm ready
breath.
to do this again.
Yeah.
But McDermott too is not going to go through and pull Josh if he throws 2 interceptions in a game.
No.
we've learned that multiple times.
Hell, he didn't.
Unless
do it after
Kyle Allen has an
the
amazing
first year.
preseason.
Yeah. Then trade him.
Yeah.
Then trade him.
True.
So, John, this is a recurring question that we started a couple weeks ago that I'm going to ask every guest when they come on. So, I know that free agency hasn't quite started yet. We're still almost 2 months, a month and a half away from the draft. But if you were Brandon Beane, give me the players, obviously money aside, who would you re-sign if they were willing to come back? Because, we don't know if Micah Hyde is going to retire, if Leonard Floyd is going to just chase money. Because he has mentioned that this year. He's like, I would love to stay in Buffalo, but I'm also not going to take $1 million, the vet minimum. So what would you do? Who would you re-sign? And then what would you do with, let's say, the first 3 draft picks this year?
Boy, Floyd for me, I think he's just going through and saying what he has to say. Oh yeah, of course I want to come back, but deep down inside, he's not coming back because somebody's going to pay him more than we're going to offer, and I'm fine with that. So he can go through and walk. I think Jones and Epinesa definitely need to be brought back.
I love to hear that. Big fan of AJ.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Who else you say? Hyde.
Hyde.
I love the guy. He's a great player. He's handled business year after year here, but I almost think it's time to move on. Can he have another good year or decent year? But one more year older and he's losing a step. So, does it get to the point of having him around for a few games or 2-3 games and then seeing that he's getting burnt multiple times a game, then what do? We're stuck. So
yeah,
agree.
I'm okay with him going. I think
other players like Ty Johnson, Dane Jackson, Latavius Murray, Quentin Morris, just to name a couple. Shaq Lawson. Who else? Tim Settle, Boona Ford, and Linval Joseph. Anybody out of those that you bring back?
Just Dane.
Dane?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think we can do without the rest. I like Settle, but I think we can do better.
Agreed. Ronnie and I, we both spoke up last show and we talked about how excited we both were when we signed Tim Settle. I was like, all right, he's young. He was in the rotation in Washington. He was stuck behind Jonathan Allen and the other and Deron Payne. You know, 2 Pro Bowl defensive tackles. I mean, you have to be a fellow Pro Bowler if you're going to jump in front of those guys. You know, you get real meaningful playing time. So I was hopeful. You know, I thought he was going to really be a pretty good rotational player for us. He's just left a sour taste in my mouth. I mean, I don't trust him anymore. So I agree with you. I think that we can get that same, at minimum, that same production he's given us the last few years.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of those guys, kind of like I said earlier, you know, the low risk, high reward. You know, I think you can go through and not overpay somebody and just let them be there, let them do their thing. And, you know, at the very minimum, you know, get somebody that we know what they can do and see what their ceiling is.
Gotcha. So you're thinking about bringing like somebody of like a older veteran, somebody that's, you know, been not kicked around the league. That's a poor way to say it, but somebody who's been around the league and you at least know what they're going to bring to the table. You know, it's a minimum, you know, 7 tackles for loss and 4 sacks, you know, coming from the tackle position, which is, you know, a pretty good year for a tackle.
Yeah. You know, and I think, you know, Bean has a way of kind of finding people that are under the radar a little bit, and then bringing them in.
Did we?
Mike, I'll ask you this. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead, because it's part of it.
I was gonna ask you what would you do? Who would you bring back out of those players? And who? What? Oh yeah, John. Second question: what would you like? What positions would you draft in the first 3 rounds?
I'd go receiver 1. Second, I'm kind of torn on. I'd kind of, because there could very well be somebody that falls into our lap that we may not necessarily really need that badly, but you know, if I don't know, you know, if there was a top 30 guy or whatever that had dropped to us, you know, at maybe, you know, safety or, you know, maybe another wide receiver, you know, just something. I mean, I'd probably go through and do that. But if that's not the case, I'd probably definitely go with an edge guy. And then 3rd round, maybe, you know, target defense again, which I hate to say it, but, you know, maybe go for a safety at that point.
I like it. That's kind of right in line with most of Bill's Mafia. Those 3 positions are really, you know, kind of depending on who you're talking to, you know, it's interchangeable rounds 1 through 3. It seems like that's kind of been the consensus: defensive line, safety, wide receiver, and no particular order.
Right.
Mike,
I'm just tired of drafting defense 1st round.
I think we all are, but I won't be surprised. Actually, I won't be surprised if we don't draft in the 1st round at all. But that's a story for maybe next week's show.
And there is plenty talent out there. It wouldn't surprise me to see some guys fall. So the question was, you want me to pick out of all the free agents? You want me to pick a few of them that stay, or was there from the certain list you listed?
Who would you re-sign out of the Bills free agents if money wasn't an issue?
So I can't help but think about the money aspect. I mean, but if money is not an issue, then I guess I don't know. We all want Daquan back. It'd be a huge hole there at D tackle. Leonard Floyd, he looked really good this year. And he's talking the money thing. John already kind of touched on that. Did we mention and Dane Jackson? He stepped up when we really needed him to this year. Did we mention Tyrell Dodson in that group of players?
Oh, no.
I don't want to
did
leave him
not.
out because he was a
Yeah.
great depth piece this year. That he's another one that really showed up when we needed him. And that's why I say, that you say money aside, but with him, it's not as big of a deal. He's not going to be as expensive as the other players. So it's,
I don't know. He might have
I mean,
last
maybe.
year. He might have played himself into a starting linebacker paycheck. I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's PFF, but he was ranked as the number one linebacker in football in PFF. And did he really have amazing, eye-popping plays and numbers? No, but he was efficient. He did his job. Where he lacked in like pass coverage and pass protection, he made up for big time in run protection.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that Zaire Franklin aspect who got the bag last year. I mean, he kicked Shaq Leonard out of his starting position, and he was an All-Pro. He got hurt one year. Zaire Franklin came in, started for him, and never gave the job back up. And now Shaq Leonard is playing in Philly, on a vet minimum deal, or was last year anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Dotson might be one of those guys that actually is gone because he's going to be offered a starting job and not just special teams and a depth piece.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we're kind of on the same page. We all want Daquan back. The Leonard Floyd thing is, I mean, it's either him or Epinesa. I think I don't think we can keep both of them. It's going to be one or the other. And then I'm going to say Dotson just because how well he filled the position this year for us. And then as far as the draft, I've ran a few mocks, and it's usually wide receiver first. It's like every single draft I've done except just a few. I've done like half a dozen or more, and there might be one or two where I picked a safety, but it's usually receiver. The safety just because they were available, Kitchens or Tyler Nubin. But receiver, we know there's some names there at the top of the list. There's also receivers there's like Xavier Legette who might fall a little bit that we might be able to get later, but wide receiver with probably losing Gabe. I mean, I think we all know what's going on there.
I was going to mention that neither of you brought up Gabe's names.
I think we've all
saying you want to re-sign him or that you just can't wait to let him go. So I just thought it was interesting that his name never came up till now.
Yeah. I don't think – I feel like there's not much question there. We're just kind of waiting to see how it plays out. But yeah, mostly receiver first, and then I even have somewhere I took two receivers, but second round, you could go either way. I even have Devondre Sweat going in the second round. I picked him up a couple times. I mean, who knows how accurate some of these mocks are, but it is encouraging to see players like him drop down there. Obviously, linebackers and defensive linemen today on the combine has got me excited seeing these guys. It makes me want to pick a D tackle or edge rusher first round, which would be huge. Maybe we lose Floyd and Epinesa, and maybe we do go that route because there is a lot of good talent at that position. I can't really nail it down, but I want to say receiver first, and then you go D-line, and I think there's some safeties out there that could fall to us and be helpful. I think there's some sleeper safeties that might be out there we could take third round. I'm not going to mention any names yet.
Yeah, and going back to Floyd too, I mean, I can't help but want to, when he went through and he made the comments like right at the end of the season saying that he wants to get paid, and yes, I want to stay in Buffalo, and love to be a Bill, but at the end of the day, he wants to get paid. He came out and said it. Part of me just wonders if he knew that, it's a 1-year deal. I'm going to go through, bust my rear end to make a name and get paid for few year contract where I'm set. I can retire at the end of it and then kind of, be one of those guys that gets paid and slacks off a little bit.
There's a Marcel Darius.
I wasn't going to mention him specifically, but he was in my mind.
I will never forget that. I will never forgive him for that. I mean, he and Mario Williams. I mean, like they could have been one of the best defensive tackle edge 1-2 punches in a long time for the Bills, and they both just threw in the freaking towel. But in their defense, they had to deal with Rex Ryan every goddamn day, and who the hell wants to do that? So,
hey, whoever we keep, as long as they don't walk off at halftime, I think it's going to be a good investment.
Or retired day one of training camp, something like that.
Yep.
Anquan Bolden, Vontae Davis. The list goes on and on.
Yep.
One thing we know for sure, boys, the Bills have some crappy luck. I'll tell you that much. Or to have to go through all the heartbreak that in my lifetime, in John's lifetime, mixed like losing games, how we've lost games, mixed with players, quitting first day of training camp. Antonio Brown refusing a trade to the Bills, which obviously was a blessing in disguise because then we wouldn't have gotten Stephon Diggs. And then, there's just all these players, Vontae Davis leaving at halftime. That was something that I don't think I'll ever forget. That was a once in a lifetime situation and moment.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It is. It sucks.
Like, just not feeling it.
What are you gonna do? Yeah, right.
I thought I was winning a Super Bowl this year. We're not going to the Super Bowl. I quit.
No, you live and die with the team.
Yeah.
Right.
You got it.
Right. So that really shows like that person's mentality, how they truly felt, how they truly thought. You had at some point in time, all you have is somebody's word. How like you have to take what they're saying for granted, and just believe them. But people lie. You see it all the time. Look at Wall Street. Look at every politician in the world. Everybody lies, and they lie through their teeth with a smile. Yep. Football players are no different. It's the same thing as DeAndre Hopkins. I'm chasing a ring and then gets paid big time by the Titans and goes and wins like 4 games. Yeah. It's just one of those things,
Yeah.
You never know anybody's true intentions until they happen.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I mean, I think all of them know that it's a short window, and they need to make their money when they can make their money. And if it's that last contract that they're going to get, they're going to maybe ease off the gas a little bit.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, Von Miller, I don't think he's done that, and I'm hoping he doesn't do that. But it's, if he puts up another terrible season this year, the same as he did last year, then that'll start creeping into a lot of people's minds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So before we get out of here, we did say something about the combine. We're going to update you a little bit. I know it's just a couple positions out there right now. But I guess it's expected. Chop Robinson seems to be, at the top. They say he looks like a running back out there. And, you got to love that from an edge rusher. So he's at the top of a few lists here. And then you have a Jalix Hunt who seems to be showing out. And then there's a guy, Braden or Brendan. I think it's Braden Fisk. His stock seems to be going up a little since the combine came around. I saw him going pretty, later in some mock drafts, but now he seems to be showing something. So I just want to throw a few names out there for those of you who haven't really been watching the combine, just update you a little bit. I know it's just the first day and they haven't done a whole lot yet, but when you get time, you got to get around to it and watch it. I mean, it's on for hours. I turn the TV on in the morning on NFL Network, so that way when I get out of work, I come home and the combine's on the TV. So I just want to, like I said, throw some names out there, give you guys just a little bit of an update of what's going on there. But yeah, you guys have anything else?
No, John,
Yeah.
give the store a little plug.
Yeah, tell us what's going on.
All right. So 2 stores, one in Hamburg, New York, one in Greece, New York. Like Mike and Casey said earlier, I was at the Batavia show this past weekend. Picked up a bunch of new stuff. Had a couple collections come into both stores. So, as of tomorrow and pretty much every week, there's all sorts of new stuff coming in, almost daily, whether it's one piece or a whole collection. And, we got a big order of unopened football cards coming in next week, and also the second series of Disney Lorcana, which clearly everybody's into Disney, so come check them out. Both stores open Tuesday through Saturday.
All right. So how many cards you have? A lot.
Yeah, give or take right around 2 million.
Jeez. That's incredible.
Wow.
And thousands of autographs, guys. I'm telling you, you're bound to find something for your collection at John's, whether it's sports related, whether it's movie related, whatever. So go on,
video games.
check it out. Yeah.
Yeah,
In
and that's the other
Rochester,
thing too.
Buffalo, swing on in, check it out.
Yeah, I met with JSA at the Batavia
Right.
show and got over 200 items authenticated, so you can be sure that every autograph that I sell is legit and not written by me or some shady guy behind a dumpster.
And ladies, if you're listening, listen to me very carefully. If your husband is a sports fan, and you don't know what to get him for Christmas or his birthday or Father's Day, go to Game On Sports or GameOnSports.com. I promise you will find something of his favorite team, like Mike said, movie, video game, anything. And it's a great price. And your husband will love it. Me and Mike have told our significant other since we first met John, if you need a Christmas idea or anything, we're just going to direct you to his store because the selection is amazing. So,
and if it's too overwhelming, John could always recommend something too.
Exactly. And so if you heard it here, I mean, go to John's store. I mean, he's got anything and everything.
Awesome. Well said. Well, once again, everyone, we appreciate all the viewers. Keep watching. Then I won't have to, start selling autographs behind the dumpster, John's store.
Or keep doing it anyway.
Right. But I really mean it, guys. You guys are the best. Thanks again for watching the Mafia Cast on Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. Brought to you by Game On, video games and sports memorabilia. We'll catch you next week, same time, same place, 7 p.m. We'll see you then. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. Tell your friends.